Alright then, so good morning, good evening, good afternoon, folks. Name's Jay Culta. Sorry for making this Monday instead of Sunday, but hey, guess what? I was slurring like a drunk Sunday night, so I decided I was going to record today. And today we're going to be talking about the 1981 John Carpenter cult classic, Escape from New York, starring, hey, guess who? Kurt friggin' Russell. That's because Kurt Russell is, of course, a contender for Jesus. We all know our real Lord and Savior is Kenny Loggins. And there's an overused joke. Okay, so we're of course going to be talking about the fantastic adventures of Snake Plissken, a U.S. vet convicted of attempted robbery who gets sent to Manhattan to spend his life sentence. Wouldn't sound so bad until you realize that Manhattan's been turned into a maximum security prison and is now currently being run by Lee Van Cleef. Spaghetti Western Kingpin, if you don't know. Basically, watch any of Sergio Leone's films, and you probably will see a Lee Van Cleef somewhere in there. He's not quite the most mystical and elusive of creatures. He's rather noticeable. And here, he's delivering his wonderfully potent dryness, as usual, by telling Kurt Russell to go in and save the stinking President of the United States, played awesomely by Sam Loomis himself, Donald Pleasence. And by awesomely, I mean he's playing him up as an absolute chump. And of course, Kurt Russell begrudgingly is forced into doing it, and gets the added bonus of having stuff injected into his arteries that can kill him after 24 hours. So it's race against time for him to go in, save the president, and possibly the entire world in and of itself, because what the president must do is go to a meetup with a bunch of world powers to deliver a very potent message that could possibly fix all the world's problems in 1997 dystopian Earth. Okay, I'm going to try and make this as short, sweet, and concise as I can. This is a freaking sweet film. Let's get the cons out of the way, however. Con number one, there's this really obnoxious lens flare that happens early on in the film. Con number two, the score isn't as thematically coherent as I would prefer. And con three, if you're coming for an action film, don't expect much action. It's actually kind of a laid-back film. A lot of it is told visually, and the pacing is slow. No, seriously, this thing runs for 93 minutes, and I felt like I was on a 2-hour slog. But it was a slog I was actually up for and enjoying. That's what counts. But the thing is, other than that, this is a fantastic film. And I'm not even going to harp on any of those issues. Because the thing is, Dean Kundry as the DOP makes burned out St. Louis look like dystopian New York. A lot of it thanks to the Panavision technology that was being used, the Ultra Lens, which allowed for natural lighting to be a more viable source. So you didn't have to be Stanley Kubrick to make your film look decent when you are shooting with just, I don't know, a few candles lit up. Also, the visual effects are absolutely stunning. For the budget this film was shot on, and this was like beneath 10 million, so there wasn't a lot of money to go around that Avco, the production company, was actually dishing out. But what they were able to do was create this awesome miniature of New York, brilliant matte paintings by Avatar and Aliens director James Cameron, before he became, the big shot about, shall we say 5 years later? Oh yeah, that's right, because 81, 86, 5 years later. Yep. Half a decade later, James Cameron would, of course, hit the big time with Aliens. But his matte work here is absolutely stunning, keeping in tone, making the film look dark, gritty, and just gorgeous. It's the kind of grit you like looking at. It's kind of like Blade Runner, which would come out a year later, under the hands of Ridley Scott. So you have that. Another big asset to this is John Carpenter's score, composed in association with Alan Howarth, who was a sound designer on Star Trek The Motion Picture and Battle Beyond the Stars. Hey, now a lot of people are being carried over from freaking New World Pictures. So with that, you have a score that is very laid back, very chill. The main theme is just awesome. In fact, I will be in the description below. I'm going to be posting a link to a rendition by a guy by the name of Peter Hammer. Honestly, though, it is a really nice take on theme, and I'll also be posting a link to the original rendition. Because I want you guys to listen to this. Seriously, this is very relaxed music, and it just really does give off the coolness I think a lot of people are supposed to feel when it comes to discussing, not discussing, but just watching Snake Plissken on screen. You get that all the coolness Kurt Russell can muster up, you can have with this theme. And speaking of Kurt Russell, let's start talking acting. Because Kurt Russell is awesome in this film. He's channeling a lot of his Eastwood energy right down to deliveries, which sound like they could have come from the mouth of any Eastwood character that we all know and love, the man with no name, which was the primary inspiration behind the entire performance. He is hardened, he is awesome, and in the end, he is a good man through and through, but he just is hardened by all the times he gets kind of screwed over. And that message and that anti-authority message definitely is very prevalent throughout the script, which is, put it this way, I don't think I would be surprised if you told me that this was written in the aftermath of Watergate, because that's what it was. Back in 1974, Carpenter wrote this basically during the fallout from the Watergate scandal, and so all the anti-authority angst between that and Vietnam basically was channeled into this one freaking solid screenplay. Problem was, though, his first film, Dark Star, or at least one of his earlier films, Dark Star, bombed spectacularly, so I had to find his mojo with flicks such as Assault on Precinct 13 and Halloween. And soon he was able to strike that deal with AFCO to make, of course, Escape from New York. However, I just got away from Kurt Russell. Honestly, a lot of his performance is visual. A lot of it is Kurt Russell knowing how to scowl. Let's just say he's a very good scowler. And a lot of his performance is very visual, just like, in many respects, The Man with No Name from the Leone films. But speaking of Leone, let's just go for the big thing. Lee Van Cleef really is pretty awesome in this. While he's showing his age in looks, he doesn't in performance. He is on top of everything. Basically, kind of serving as almost like a reflection of a lot of the callousness of friggin' Kurt Russell's character. Really, he does provide a lot of good work. I really do love a lot of his deliveries. He comes off as very cold, just as cold as Snake, to be quite honest. So there's that. And then you have the rest of the ensemble cast. You have Ernest Borgnine as Cabby, who links just about everyone within the city together. He's having a blast with this role, I can tell. You have Harry Dean Stanton, whom of which I share a birthday with. Wink, if you could even see me through my glasses. Making the wink entirely pointless. Anywho, Harry Dean Stanton is absolutely fantastic as Brain. And the thing is, a lot of it is a weird less is more approach. A lot of his performance is with this ponderous gaze. A lot of it is because, well, his character is Brain, so he does think a lot. But you can see the gears turning in Stanton's head, but he gives nothing away. He doesn't let any... Put this way, he shows that he's thinking, but you'll never know what he's thinking about until things start happening. Isaac Hayes as the Duke of New York. By the way, that's a brilliant segue right there. You just hop from one actor to another. Isaac Hayes as the Duke of New York is probably one of the most fun things I've ever seen in my life. I mean, put it this way. As an actor, Isaac Hayes, while not necessarily any, big player, he knows how to act. And here he's having a blast as a villain. He's ice cold, he's intimidating. Put it this way, this is basically a future of hardened people, and Isaac Hayes definitely takes the cake for some of that. While you probably could sympathize slightly more with Kurt Russell considering all he's been through, Isaac Hayes doubles down on the hardened nature of Kurt Russell in his own performance. Also adding to that is, of course, Harry Dean Stanton's girlfriend, Adrienne Barbeau, and, well, in this case, it's a film relationship, not a real-life one, in which Barbeau plays Brain's girlfriend, Maggie, and here she's tough, she's confident, but also she does show emotion, which is very helpful. Considering how just about everyone else seems to be lacking in the rest of this film. Save for one other particular actor, Donald Pleasence. Oh my god, Donald Pleasence. As the president, this man is insane. I feel like he's having the time of his life, but he's not allowed to let you know he's having the time of his life. He is playing it up. He's playing the president up as this great big buffoon in the face of all these crazy ruffians. And it makes, while it's an on-the-nose commentary, it's a brilliant commentary nonetheless on essentially the anti-authority message. Or in this case, it's a commentary on authority. How you could basically see a lot of people in positions of power as essentially wimps or scaredy cats, and that's exactly what Pleasence goes for, and he does it. I honestly was just in awe with half the scenes I was watching him. I was freaking rolling on the floor half the time, especially with the very surreal way he ends the film. But honestly, I think the big thing that makes all this click together is Carpenter's writing and directing. Which, by the way, the screenplay, after it was shown to Avco, and Avco were, totally for it, Carpenter did get his close friend, Nick the Shape Castle, and I call him that because guess what? He was Michael Myers in the original Halloween, believe it or not, to help him basically revise the script, and it was through Castle's elements that he started writing in more humor, and he also started to help flesh out the concepts more. Any way you slice it, the tone Carpenter creates is absolutely oppressive. It's like what any good dystopian story should look like. It should be downtrodden, it should be hardened, it should be callous. And the thing is, like I said earlier, you could tell this was written in the aftermath of Watergate and post-Vietnam. You could tell that there was a lot of anti-authority angst going right into this, and Carpenter himself is totally against authority. He is not a fan of authority figures. So, all in all, this script makes a lot of sense considering the perspective he's coming from. And you can tell some of it is a bit on the nose, namely with the nature of how the president is written, and also how Donald Pleasence plays up the president as how he's written. But the rest of it is a lot of subtlety, and a lot of it is just visual carnage on display. A lot of it is silent. A lot of it is just these long tracking shots and these long pans down the streets of burned out New York. And just absolutely stunning visual work that really does show how far things have fallen. And also, just a lot of what Carpenter does as a director, I wouldn't even call him collaborative. He just lets the actors, do their thing, and it comes off in the performance. Everyone feels comfortable. Everyone feels completely in character all the time. They all feel like they're in the world. And that really does make the difference when it comes to a film like this. Because selling the idea of a 400% increase in crime, subsequently followed by an entire massive island, like a big factor of just tourism and traffic throughout the entire United States being turned into a maximum security prison, that's a hard pill to swallow. That is, as Oliver Harper put it, a B plot. That is a B movie plot, if you've ever heard one. But Carpenter is able to sell it. And he's able to sell it with a lot of to a certain degree, restraint. But overall, final thoughts on the film, I love it. Aside from the few gripes I got out of the way earlier, there's that one lens flare, there's the fact that a lot of the action just doesn't seem, very intense. That it can all be excused for the fact that this film works as an experience. It looks fantastic. The score enhances the atmosphere. The acting really does feel very natural, very organic, and everyone just does come off as very hardened by the nature of how far civilization, or at least in the US, has fallen, although you could assume it's gotten worse around the world. And just in general, the screenplay does give off the anti-authority message loud and clear without being entirely, bludgeoning with it. Like, of course, there is the buffoonishness of Donald Pleasance's performance as the president, but beyond that kind of hammy performance that really is awesome in every respect, a lot of it does feel like it's subtlety just through the nature of how characters like Snake Plissken act, and just based on the carnage you can see throughout New York. Overall, just watch this film. Honestly, just give this a shot and you will have the time of your life with this. If you're coming for an action film, you're gonna have to hold out because things only get so intense and there isn't always a score to go behind it. But if you're coming for an experience, you will be treated to a fine experience indeed. Anywho, I'm gonna sign off. So if you like this video, please like, share, comment, subscribe. If you want to find me somewhere, you can go into the description. I have links to Facebook, Twitter, my blog, if I'm correct. I think my DeviantArt too. And with that all said, have a good night, guys. Peace out. Catch you in the next video.